Good evening, friends. Welcome to the fifth lecture of 6th Standard NCERT, Major Domains of the Earth. So, before going to the lecture, let us understand yesterday's question. So, yesterday's question was about various scales and their types. So, most of you have written very good answers. So, scale, what is a scale? So, scale is utilized to show the distance. So, yesterday we have seen that three major components of the map. These are distance, directions, and symbol. Out of them, distance is shown using the scale. So this is the importance of scale. Without using the scale, you cannot show the distance. So what is the scale? Scale is nothing but a ratio. What ratio? It is ratio of distance on the ground and on the map. That distance, that ratio we call it as a scale. So this is a simple definition of scale. So this scale can be utilized to show the larger distance. So like we have seen, 1 centimeter is equal to 100 kilometer on the ground. So we call it as a small scale map. Or 1 centimeter is equal to 500 meter on the ground. 100 meter on the ground. This is we say large scale map. So there are two types of maps, small scale map and large scale map. So when huge amount of distance is reduced in a smaller scale on the map, we call it as a small scale map. And a little bit of distance, which is not that much reduced compared to the huge distance, which is shown on the map using the scale, we call it as a large scale map. So two types of scales that we have seen. So out of these three components, the first most important component is the scale. So this question was about that. So first we have to talk about the three important components, and then how scale, what is the definition of scale, and what are the types of scales, and the importance of scale. So if there is a no scale, or you just draw a rough kind of thing, we call it as a sketch. So if we do not use any of the three components, then that particular map will not be called as a map, it will be known as a sketch. So without any scale, if you draw a map, you are calling it as a sketch. So these are the different things needs to be mentioned in the answer. So I hope you guys have understood this chapter yesterday that we have seen, and many of you are writing the answer. I am really happy that every day new students are writing the answers. It is very important to write the answers, because in the end it is going to help you in the exam. So let us move towards our today's chapter, major domains of the earth. So when we say domains, these domains means what? Domain means what are the various parts of the earth. So earth, as we see as a solid earth, it's not the only part. It is the lithosphere. Whatever solid earth we see, that is the lithosphere. Another part is air, which we call it as an atmosphere. Another part is the water, which we call it as a hydrosphere. So these are the important parts or important domains of the earth. Fourth important domain of the earth is a biosphere. So out of these three important domains, life thrives only on a thin layer of the earth, to which we call it as a biosphere. So biosphere is a fourth important domain, which is nothing but a combination of all these three domains where life exists. So these are the important domains, and about these important domains, we are going to study these domains in this chapter. So be ready to study this chapter. So first, these different names like lithosphere, atmosphere, hydrosphere is coming from the Greek language. Like the entire discipline, all the disciplines are coming from the Western countries. So the origin of the terminology is in the Greek or in the Latin languages. So in the Greek language, here, first on the screen you can see this mountain or the solid part of the earth known as a lithosphere. So this lithos means stone in the Greek. Then air. Okay. Here atmos, air is known as, or thin layer is no blanket of thin layer is known as atmosphere. So here word the atmos means vapor. So water vapor or just vapor. So again the Greek word, and third layer is a water layer or hydrosphere. The hydor in the Greek language means water. So this is very important definitions. They can be asked in the prelims. Bios again means life. So just remember these four things, which are Greek terminologies. Lithos means stones, atmos means vapor, hydor means water, and life means bios. So these are the Greek languages. So these are the three different terminologies of the three different domains of the earth. Let us understand this in the little bit of detail. Okay, not too much detail because these are the 6th standard NCRTs, so it won't be much detailed, but still don't underestimate these NCRTs because some very important terminology. Every year some questions are being asked in these NCRTs and they tend to be confusing for the students, though they are very easy. Okay. So first thing is lithosphere. So as we have seen, lithos means stone. So lithosphere is a solid part of the earth. It comprises of the rocks, thin crust of the earth, the layer of the soil. So this is known as lithosphere. In 11th standard NCRT also we are going to see this lithosphere in very detailed manner. Okay. So this is a solid part of the earth, and if we see, generally it is not going much deeper. It is just a part of the crust, soil. This we are calling it as a lithosphere. So since it is the uppermost, little bit uppermost portion of the earth, we can divide this portion into two parts. First is landmass or continent. Continent, and another is oceanic basins. So above the oceanic basins you have oceanic water. So oceanic basins are hidden under the oceanic water. But above oceanic water also you will see the huge land masses. So the huge land masses separated by the oceanic waters, we are calling them as a continent. So these are the huge land masses. And below the ocean water is also resting on the certain solid surface. This solid surface is known as ocean basin. So there is a difference between continent and oceanic basin. That we are not going to discuss in the 6th standard NCRTs. That we are going to discuss in the next NCRTs. So this is about lithosphere. So when we are studying the lithosphere, there are certain facts which can be asked in the preliminary examination. So which are these facts? So you can see these facts on your screen. First, as a huge mountain, if we consider, which is a part of the lithosphere, so Mount Everest is we can say the highest mountain. Okay, 8,800 meters almost. Okay, if we see the deepest part in terms of oceanic basin, then there is a trench in the Pacific Ocean known as Mariana Trench. It is almost 11,000 meter down the sea level. So you can see entire Mount Everest can be hidden that Mariana Trench. Okay. So who was the first person who climbed the Mount Everest? It was Edmund Hillary. Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay was an Indian Sherpa. Okay, they climbed this Mount Everest first. Okay, in the 1950s. Then in case of women, this woman called as Junko Tebei of Japan was the first woman who climbed the Mount Everest in the 1970s. And in case of India, okay, this name is hidden behind the screen. It's a Bachendri Pal. So Bachendri Pal in the 1980s was the first woman who climbed the Mount Everest from the side of India. So these facts are given, which we should remember, which can be asked in our exam. Okay. So these are the facts very important about the lithosphere. Lithosphere is mostly made up of continents. So here we can see various continents over here. So there are major 7 continents on the surface of the earth. So which are these 7 continents? So first is Asia, then you have Europe, then you have Africa, then you have North America, then South America, then you have Australia, and then Antarctica. So these are the important continents. Antarctica is in the southern hemisphere. Arctic is in the northern hemisphere, but Arctic is not a continent. Antarctica is the only continent. So these are the 7 important continents. Because Arctic is made up of sea ice, though it looks solid, Arctic region and the North Pole, but it is actually a huge ocean, Arctic Ocean. But Antarctica is like a ice sheet resting on the landmass. So Antarctica has some landmass. That's why it is a part of a continent. So Antarctica is a seventh continent. Now let us understand the characteristics of this continent one by one. These characteristics can be asked in our exam. So definitely it is very important to remember these characteristics of the continent. First important continent is Asia. So Asia, you can see, is the biggest continent on the surface of the earth. It is as big as, it is like occupying 1/3 of the total area. Okay, so it is a huge continent. It is present on the eastern hemisphere. It is present in the eastern hemisphere, as we know that this 0 degrees is passing through here. So this is our eastern hemisphere. So this Asia is present in the eastern hemisphere. Tropic of Cancer is passing through the Asia. Not, it is not equator and not Tropic of Capricorn. Only Tropic of Cancer is passing through the Asia. Now you can see over here, Ural Mountains are separating Europe from Asia. So these Ural Mountains are very important. If we combine Europe and Asia, we call it as a Eurasia or Eurasian continent. So these Ural Mountains are very important, which are separating Europe and Asia. Okay. Next continent is Europe. It's not very important, but just remember that the Arctic Circle is touching the Europe. It is passing through the European continent. It's not very huge. Okay. After that, the most important continent, the second largest continent is the South Africa. Sorry, not here. Here, South Africa. Yellow color one. So South Africa is second largest continent on the earth. So South Africa is the only continent through which equator, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, all the three important latitudes are passing through the Africa. Okay, so 0 degrees latitude, 23.5 north and south, all are passing through the Africa. So it is present in the both the hemisphere. Getting it? So it is a continent which is present in the both the hemisphere. It is present in the northern hemisphere as well as it is present in the southern hemisphere. Okay. So huge part of it is present in the northern hemisphere. Okay. The one of the biggest desert of the earth, the Sahara Desert, is present in the Africa. Also, longest river of the earth, that is a Nile River, is present in the Africa. So these are the important points to be remembered about the Africa. So Africa, the question can be asked about these continents. Third important continent is that we have is South America. Okay. So, sorry, North America, not South America. So North America, you can see over here, there is a small strip of land which is known as isthmus. Okay, which is connecting the two huge land masses, like two huge oceans. If a water body is connecting, we call it as a strait. Similarly, if two huge land masses, a small land mass is connecting, we are calling it as a isthmus. So this isthmus, narrow strip of isthmus known as a Panama Isthmus, is connecting North and South America. So three oceans are surrounding the North America. We know Pacific Ocean over here, then Atlantic Ocean over here, and Arctic Ocean on the top. They are surrounding the North America. And Isthmus of Panama is connecting North America to the South America. Next important continent is South America. South America has the longest mountain chain of the world, that is the Andes mountain. So you can see on the western side of the South America, you have the longest mountain range running. We are calling it as the Andes mountain. And there is a largest river. Which is the largest river? Everyone knows Amazon River. The Amazon River is the largest river which is present in the South America. Longest river is present in the Africa and largest river is present in the South America. So longest mountain, Andes mountain, and the largest river, that is Amazon River, is present in the South America. Okay. So South America also, a little part of the South America is present in the northern hemisphere, but mostly it is present in the southern hemisphere. Okay, equator and Tropic of Capricorn is passing through the South America. but not Tropic of Cancer. Only Africa is the continent where all the three uh, say three important latitudes are passing through. Okay. Now, next important continent is Australia. It is also known as island continent because it is considered like a big island floating in the ocean. Okay. So this is the smallest of all continents, completely in the southern hemisphere, surrounded by all sides by the water. That is why it is known as island continent. So Australia, remember, it is the smallest continent on the surface of the earth. So there are various facts in the mapping. We are going to see the various characteristics of these various parts of the world and continents. Now let us understand the next continent, that is Antarctica. Antarctica, as I have said, it is not just ocean like an Arctic Ocean. It is a landmass on which you have an ice sheet. That is why we are calling it as a continent. So Antarctica is at the center of this Antarctica. We have a South Pole. Okay. So here, this Antarctica is almost humanless or untouched continent by the human being. Arctic, you have settlements. Arctic, you have so many tribes. You have Eskimos and all, but Antarctica, it's almost untouched by the humans. So we have just established our research center. Many countries have established our research center in the Antarctica. Okay. So India has this Dakshin Gangotri and Maitri, which are there on the Antarctica. So these are the important continents. You guys know India is present on which continent? It is present in the Asian continent. Now, let us understand the next part of the earth or next domain of the earth. The previous domain of the earth was that of lithosphere, and these different parts, continents and ocean basins. Continents and ocean basins are the part of this lithosphere. But water resting or oceans on the ocean basins, they are part of the hydrosphere. So all the types of water bodies, whether they are oceans, whether they are ice caps, whether they are rivers, they have lakes, wells, all they are part of the hydrosphere. So hydros or hydor means water, that we have seen in the Latin language. So Earth is known as a blue planet, that we have seen in the first chapter, because 71% part of the Earth is occupied by the water. So water reflects blue color. So from the space, Earth looks blue. So that is why Earth is also known as a blue planet. 29% of the Earth is occupied by the land. So that is why here hydrosphere is very, very important. But if we see the entire water content of the hydrosphere, 97% of the water is present in the ocean. The 97% water, you can see that only 3% water is only fresh water or drinkable water, and huge water is a salty water that is present in the ocean. So oceanic water is in continuous motion. It is not stagnant water. It is continuous motion. So there are three motions. There are two types of motions: vertical motions, horizontal motion, and circular motion. These three types of motions are there. Okay. So waves, they are the circular movement of the oceanic water or the oceanic water molecules. Tides are the vertical movements of the oceanic water, and currents are the horizontal movements of the oceanic water. So in this way, oceanic water keeps on moving continuously. It is not a stagnant water. So that's why the oceanic water movement is very important, which we are going to see in oceanography when we'll see as we move beyond NCRTs. Now, when we say the important oceans, there are 5 important oceans on the surface of the earth, or large oceans on the surface of the earth. Which are those oceans? We know that biggest ocean is the Pacific Ocean. Then you have second one, Atlantic Ocean. Third largest is the Indian Ocean. And then you have a Southern Ocean and then Arctic Ocean. These are the important oceans on the surface of the earth. Out of them, Pacific is the biggest ocean on the earth. It is almost circular in the shape, It is very huge. It's like almost one third of the space is occupied by this ocean. Similarly, we have seen like Asia is also occupying the one third space on the surface of the earth. Similarly, Pacific Ocean is also occupying the one third space on the ocean on the surface of the earth. The biggest mountain or the largest mountain, the tallest mountain that we have seen is the Mount Everest in the Nepal. Similarly, the deepest point that we have seen the Mariana Trench near Southeast Asia. So this Mariana Trench is present in the Pacific Ocean. So this question can be asked. So Mariana Trench is very, very important. Indian Ocean also we have the deepest trench, which is known as Sunda Trench. That we'll see in the next chapters whenever it will come. Next important ocean is Atlantic Ocean. If you see on the screen, this ocean is of S shape. So shape of the Atlantic is a S shape. Okay. Now the coastline of Atlantic Ocean is highly irregular. It is not very regular because it is made up of lava. So it has been eroded by the oceanic water, and the way it is made while the breaking up of continent, it has become very irregular. So it is highly indented. So because of it is very highly irregular and highly indented, it is a very good site for natural harbors and ports. So you have so many sites, so many important natural harbors and ports are there on the coastline of Atlantic Ocean. So that's why it is one of the busiest coastline in the world. Atlantic, so many busiest coastline are there. So many important ports are there on the Atlantic coast. Next important ocean is Indian Ocean. Now it is the only ocean which has been named on a country. So India is the country, and on the name of the country we have named, or the world have accepted the name Indian Ocean. Okay. So if we see the shape of the Indian Ocean is almost triangular. In this is almost triangular. Okay, so uh, uh, the shape of the ocean right now it is difficult to mark over here, but we can say now triangle. You can make triangle anyways. You can make triangle like this, or you can make like this. So this is triangular in shape. So Indian Ocean, just you have to remember that it's the only ocean named after a country. Now, at one side of the Indian Ocean you have Asia, another side you have Africa, another side Australia, and downside you have Arctic Ocean. So these are the important facts about the Indian Ocean. There are so many facts about Indian Ocean which we are going to see in next NCRTs. Next important domain of the Earth is an atmosphere. Atmosphere is nothing but a thin layer of gas surrounding the Earth. Now this thin layer of gas, when it is surrounding the Earth, so how big is it? How long it extends? So it extends up till 1600 kilometers. So 1600 kilometer does not mean that till 1600 kilometer you have very thick cover of gases. So very thin cover of gases. Even at that level, gases exist in atomic form. Thin, or we say thick layer of gas exists only up to 20-30 kilometers. Beyond that, this atmospheric layer starts thinning up. But there are different factors which we'll study in the upcoming chapters. So this layer of gas, if we want to divide them from surface to the top in the sky, then how we are going to divide them? So we can divide them into 5 parts. Which are those 5 parts? From the base to the top. So first is a troposphere, then you have a stratosphere, then you have a mesosphere, then you have a thermosphere, and the last one, which is over here, is an exosphere. So these are the 5 spheres of the atmosphere. There are different characteristics of these 5 layers of the atmosphere. They have different functions to be performed. These functions and the importance of these layers we will study in the next NCRTs. If we see the atmosphere, the composition of the atmosphere, 99% of the atmosphere is made up of 2 gases, nitrogen and oxygen. So nitrogen and oxygen makes the 99% of the atmosphere. Nitrogen we know it's 78%, oxygen is 21%, and 1% or less are the other gases. That is, you have carbon dioxide, you have other inert gases like argon, and some other minute gases. So they make only 1%, but the most of the atmosphere, or 99%, is made up of nitrogen and oxygen. Now, if we see the density of the atmosphere, density means number of molecules of a particular substance in a given area. So in the given area, the more number of molecules are present, we call it as that substance more dense. So density of the atmosphere varies with the height. So as we move upward, density decreases. As we come downward, density increases. So near the sea surface, you have the highest density of the atmosphere. And at the top of the Mount Everest, we will have the lowest density of the atmosphere. So that is why you see, when these climbers, when these trekkers, when they go upwards, they face the scarcity of oxygen. Many them, if the older people are climbing the pilgrim places like Kedarnath, Badrinath, so many times they return from the halfway because they cannot breathe, because it's very high. So density is very less, so they cannot breathe. So because of the paucity of the oxygen and the denser air, these climbers, they carry the oxygen along with them. Even these trekkers, they carry certain tablets with them. So by taking, the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood increases. Getting it? So that is why density of the atmosphere is very important. Density decreases as you go upwards. Similarly, temperature also decreases as you move upward. This is called as a lapse rate of the atmosphere. These terminologies will come in the next chapters. So this is about density of atmosphere. Okay. Now last component of the atmosphere is a biosphere. So word bio. So here on the screen you can see that it is a thin layer which combines all the domains of the atmosphere: lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere. So where life thrives, only that part of these three layers combined together is known as biosphere. So here life thrives, that's why we are calling it as a bio. So it is a very, very narrow zone or very thin skin where life thrives on the water, on the surface of the earth, in the air. Is combined together where life exists. We call it as a biosphere. So these are all important terminologies of the domains of the earth, and this is a kind of introduction. Very, very important. You have to remember the facts given in the chapter. Questions can be asked about continents. This is the most important part from this chapter, and there are certain facts like who climbed the Mount Everest first in case of India, and what is the height of the Mount Everest, which is the deepest point of the ocean, the facts about African continent, facts about Atlantic Ocean. These kind of questions can be asked in the preliminary examination. So I hope you guys have understood this chapter. Now based on this chapter, there are MCQs. Like after every chapter, we see these MCQs. So first, mountain range that separates Europe from Asia. We have seen this. The continent of North America is linked to the South America by which isthmus? That also we have seen. Panama Isthmus. The major constituent of atmosphere by percent. Okay, the major constituent, which is the major gas in the atmosphere. That is also we have seen. Then the domain of the earth consisting of a solid rock is known as what? Next question. Which is the largest continent? That is also we have seen. Very, very simple. Then again, you have fill in the blanks. You can consider them as an MCQ. So here, the deepest point of the earth is in which, what is the name of the deepest point? Then dash dash ocean is named after the country. Very simple. Then dash dash is a narrow contact zone of land, water and air in which supports the life. That is also we have seen just the previous slide. Then continent of the Europe and Asia together is known as, very simple, that also we have seen. The highest mountain peak of the earth, very, very simple, that also we have seen. So hope guys you have understood the chapter. So very simple chapter. If you have any queries, I hope there won't be any queries for such a simple chapter. But still, if you have any queries, please ask me on the social media. So thank you and see you for the next chapter.